If you do not need to use the DSK anymore, click on the button again to turn off the button light, indicating that the DSK is completely ineffective now. You may want to display two DSKs simultaneously, but later remove one, just leaving, for instance, a logo. To start with, we have two red DSK buttons, and we just need to click the mouse once on the button of the required DSK to display that DSK on the preview screen. This means that this DSK will be viewed. Hence, at this point, you should be able to see this DSK on both preview and program screens at the same time. When you click on Cut or the Fade button, the first DSK will be displayed in its original position. However, another DSK button will then turn from red back to green and be switched back to the preview screen. So this is how to use the downstream keyer. Thank you for your attention and I hope to see you again in the next lecture. Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. I am going to introduce to you our newest product. It's the TVS 1000. It's a trackless virtual studio system. So what is a virtual studio? Usually a virtual studio is used in news broadcasting or for studio-based interviews. With virtual systems, everything is digitized, except the host and the guests. So how do you integrate video feeds with a virtual world? First of all, we need a non-reflective green or blue backdrop. As we all know, color is made out of three primary colors: red, green and blue, with red reflected most readily by the body. Hence, filming on either a blue or green backdrop will obtain the cleanest result. Of course, the talent's body or clothing cannot contain any backdrop color, or else that will key out as well. At this point, many people would ask, how does this differ from traditional chroma keying? Well, the difference between chroma keying and a virtual studio system is simply the transition and camera movement, which is something that you cannot achieve with traditional chroma keying. But we'll talk about that later. Now, after we have obtained a clean talent signal, the next thing to do is to integrate it into a virtual system. Virtual studio systems can be categorized into different types: the 3D tracking system, the 3D trackless systems, and 2D trackless system. 3D tracking systems are capable of receiving pan, tilt, and zoom positions of the camera, as well as the tracking or dolly positions. The studio space calculated by the virtual studio system is integrated into the actual real-time dynamic 3D scene. And this type of system is usually used by professional news TV stations or weather broadcasters. The system cost alone is $30,000 at a minimum, depending on the number of cameras used. This system must be operated using multiple advanced workstations, and the operators must be highly experienced professionals, specifically trained to operate 3D studios. So what is a 3D trackless system? Compared to the tracking system, the trackless system uses an immobile camera, fixed on a particular position, aperture and shutter. Camera movements and transitions are calculated by the computerized virtual studio system. Because it is an all 3D environment, this system requires multiple powerful workstations again. The budget of the overall system can be millions of dollars, but this system only needs a few operators and 3D background designers to run. Thus, compared to the 3D tracking system, trackless systems are much more user-friendly. Finally, the 2D trackless virtual studio system, such as the Data Video TVS 1000. The biggest difference between 2D and 3D systems is that 3D systems allow the camera to track movements, and the studio view and angle changes with that movement. But 2D environments are static. In the 2D system, the camera is immobile, but it can perform lens movement via pan, tilt and zoom to enrich the visual effect. The only drawback is that this 2D system does not allow background rotation and perspective. Hence, this is where a virtual background comes into play. The virtual background can be a 3D background, it can be a 2D picture, or even a landscape photo taken by your mobile phone. At first glance, 2D systems may have a lot of limitations, but more than 70% of programming uses PDZ cameras. For example, news reporting, finance programs, corporate television, education channels, etc. It ensures that the main focus is on the host and their interaction with the guest. Also, the 2D system is an easy tool to operate, with little training required. Only one person is enough to handle all operations and to create an effect similar to that of the advanced virtual studio systems. The entry-level machine costs a few thousand US dollars only, thus providing beginners with a good tool to realize their vision. The DataVideo TVS1000 is an easy to operate machine that provides high quality work at a low cost. In later chapters, we will show you how powerful the TVS1000 actually is. So what are you waiting for? Join us and start using the DataVideo TVS1000 now. Hi everyone! In this chapter, we will briefly introduce you to the main functions of the TVS1000 and various areas of the interface, and then show you how the system works. Before we start using TVS1000, connect the monitors, the keyboard, the mouse, the audio mixer and the RMC220 controller to the TVS1000, and then plug in the power cord. Press the power button and wait for about 40 seconds for the system to complete its boot up process. After then, you will then be able to start using the TVS1000. After seeing the main screen, or the startup screen as we call it, you will be able to see all of the function categories. The categories are Project Management, Still Text Editor, Virtual Set Maker, the Virtual Set Shop, and the Shutdown button. This chapter will discuss Project Management, and we will leave the rest of the sections to later chapters. First of all, let's move the mouse cursor over the Production Live pane and on the Startup page, and a drop-down menu will appear. You can either choose to open a new file or an existing file. Before opening a new file, please make sure that the selected video format is what you want and confirm that the connected camera supports the selected resolution. After the configuration is confirmed, click your mouse to open a new file. The user interface will then appear after that. The user interface can be divided into 4 major sections. The first section is the upper third of the UI, which contains the preview screens of all materials, such as the camera, the media, the pictures, the text and the 4 virtual background views, as well as the preview and program out screens. The second section in the lower left-hand corner of the UI contains 4 mix and effects layers, ME1 to ME4. We can configure 3 preset PTZ faces for each media and effect layer, and thus this is equivalent of 12 virtual camera positions. Click on the autoplay button on the right to enable the autoplay, and you will see smooth movement between faces. If disabled, it will only use the cut transition effect. The bottom rows A and B allow the user to place the talent on the corresponding virtual background and select the material to be displayed on the plasma TV. The above mentioned features form the second section. The third section in the bottom right hand corner is called Media Library Management, where users can define the materials for Media 1 and 2, Stills 1 and 2 and Text 1 and 2. We can also configure audio mixer and chroma key settings in this section. Please note that the chroma key settings only apply to the camera source and not to the rest of the media files. After materials, virtual background and camera faces are all set, the last part will be to put them together by using the virtual switcher. Just like any general switcher, there are 2 rows for switching control: Preview and Program Out. On the right of the virtual switcher there are DSK keys for the user to define their own downstream key or overlay. DSK sources can be camera, video, still pictures and text. The user can preview the selected media in the first section on the preview screen. After the sources and their positioning are confirmed, click on Cut or Fade button to place the downstream keyer on the Program Out screen. The above are a basic operational description and an introduction to the TVS 1000 interface. After you have mastered all of that, you will then go to other functional operations. The RMC220 remote controller that comes with the TVS 1000 helps the users to control the system very intuitively. It allows you to assign most of the functions, such as transitions, downstream keyer overlays, etc. to a single controller, saving the user a lot of unnecessary mouse clicks. It is also a great protection for your wrist against RSI, that is repetitive strain injury. Most importantly, it's a free tool, so pick up your RMC220 and use it. Hi everyone, I'm glad we meet again. After attending the previous two presentations, all of you will have a grasp general concept of the TVS 1000. Now let's discuss what downstream keying is. I'm sure all of you must have seen the data video logo placed in the upper right hand corner of the screen and the current theme displayed at the bottom. These are known as downstream keyer effects. It overlays your readily made materials on the screen, regardless of whether it is still text with a bit of transpiration, a picture, or an alpha channel video. Downstream keying allows you to put all of them on the screen so as to make your program more informative and vivid. This is how it works. We can click on the DSK function key located on the right, and on clicking, the DSK function key will turn green, indicating that the downstream keyer is currently in the preview state, and you're allowed to select from the following sources: camera, media 1 and 2, still 1 and 2, and text 1 and 2. The selection will then appear in the preview window, allowing you to preview its position, size, and the visual effect. To change its position, click on the placement button below to open a window that allows you to adjust the DSK position up, down, left and right, and change the size. It is better to fix the DSK size and position during the design process. Therefore, you will be able to click and use the downstream keyer on the TVS 1000 system without affecting its original resolution and quality due to the size adjustment. After finishing setting one DSK, you can then continue to select the source for the second DSK. Repeat the steps I just described. After confirming the position and the visual effect of the DSK, we can then click on the Cut or Fade buttons below at the right time to switch the DSK from the preview screen to the program. Fade transition effect can be customized by setting its time in seconds or frames so as to obtain a precise transition effect. After the DSK is switched to the program view, the DSK button turns red, indicating that it's being played and the DSK position and size cannot be modified anymore. At the end of its mission, click or Cut or Fade button again to switch the DSK back to the preview screen. Now the DSK button turns back to green, ready for the next DSK configuration. If you do not need to use the DSK anymore, click on the button again to turn off the button light, indicating that the DSK is completely ineffective now. You may want to display two DSKs simultaneously, but later remove one, just leaving, for instance, a logo. To start with, we have two red DSK buttons, and we just need to click the mouse once on the button of the required DSK to display that DSK on the preview screen. This means that this DSK will be viewed. Hence, at this point, you should be able to see this DSK on both preview and program screens at the same time. When you click on Cut or the Fade button, the first DSK will be displayed in its original position. However, another DSK button will then turn from red back to green and be switched back to the preview screen. So this is how to use the downstream keyer. Thank you for your attention and I hope to see you again in the next lecture.